Fala aí, Disconnectors. Esse aqui é um corte da live Desconecta.
Vamos lá então. Vamos ver aí os erros de capas, né? Design de capas. Feito aí pelo canal Other Record Labels. Só que desta vez a gente não vai ter a barbada da dublagem, né?
Patrocínio da Vlut. É o novo clube de disco de vinil feito para você. Acesse velut.com.br, faça seu perfil e escolha o seu plano. Todo mês receba um disco surpresa novo e lacrado com gift exclusivo, caixa personalizada e frete grátis. Vlut, um clube realmente seu.
Bora lá então. Os erros das artes das capas.
Labels, I want to talk about 10 common mistakes I see when record labels and independent artists are preparing to make an album cover or album artwork for their new single or for their new EP or for their new album. And I'm not just talking about physical merchandise like vinyl and tapes and CDs, but I'm also talking about just streaming like on Bandcamp and on Spotify. And so we're going to talk about the whole gamut. There's just 10 things. This isn't in any particular order, but I think you'll find it helpful, especially if any one of these 10 things that they're a mistake that you've made in the past or you're about to make, or there may be a topic or a category that kind of you get hung up on and that slows you down from making great album covers. As with most things in art and design, a lot of it's subjective. Now, a video for another day is me arguing why great album covers are not subjective. Instead, I want to talk about some more practical, tactical things to keep in mind when making album covers. By the way, I'm going to put the resources from today as well as our free album artwork workshop that you can watch all at otherrecordlabels.com/artwork. So some of the tips I'm talking about today and some of our resources, including our new book on album artwork and design for record labels, will all be at otherrecordlabels.com/artwork. Number one common mistake I see is people spending too much money. This is tough, and in my next point, I'm going to counter this. So any like graphic designer out there who's like, no, it's worth it to spend money. I agree with you, but I do sometimes see people spending too much money. So let me tell you a time when you should spend a lot of money on album covers and when you shouldn't spend a lot of money on album covers. Number one is you should spend a lot of money on album covers if you are pressing to vinyl and cassette and digital, obviously, and maybe even tape as well. Then you should hire a designer and you should pick a great design. And if that design is being put on t-shirts or hoodies or tour posters, then it's okay to spend a lot of money. And what do I mean by a lot of money? I've spent five.
Normalmente aqui, cara, quando a gente vai fazer a prensagem, eu tenho um selo aqui também, né? A Made in Soul Records, inclusive. A gente lançou recentemente aí, se vocês não conhecem, o Jupiter Apple. Deixa eu abrir aqui melhor, né? Lançou o Jupiter Apple aí, um disco gravado no Teatro Bruno Kiefer. Na realidade é um espetáculo acústico do Jupiter Apple, né? Falecido há 10 anos. E esse disco, né, essa gravação, esse espetáculo foi gravado no ano em que ele faleceu, né, cara? Esse aqui é o They Are All Beatniks, é um lançamento da Made in Soul Records, selo aí que eu sou proprietário junto com o Vicente Toniolo, também da E-Discos lá de Chapecó e da Monstro Disco aí, selo importantíssimo, né? Relança várias coisas legais de artistas nacionais e também aí da Marquise 51, quem foi o Lucas Henke, né, responsável por captar, mixar e masterizar esse disco. Daí, cara, a gente gastou uma grana boa para fazer essa edição. Ele é um gatefold, né? Ele é o capa dupla que os caras normalmente chamam. Fotos, né? Fotos do show, fotos tiradas aí antes do show e depois do espetáculo. É um trabalho, assim, em termos de qualidade gráfica, impecável, né? Não tenho do que reclamar, né? E ainda vem com um encarte aí, ó. Também com mais fotos de shows e tal. E as letras das músicas, né? Tem alguns clássicos do próprio Júpiter, que é As Tortas e as Cucas, Mademoiselle Marchand, Welcome to the Shade, Beatle George também, They Are Beatniks, que leva o nome do álbum, né? Querida Superstiche. E o trabalho, cara, foi realmente, assim, impecável feito pelo Fábio Alt aí, ele fez todo o projeto gráfico desse disco. A gente fez uma prensagem marrom, né? Até o selo ali, né? Se vocês olharem também, é um trabalho feito com muito carinho, muito precisão, né? E quando ele fala em gastar dinheiro com designers gráficos, principalmente para materiais impressos em produtos físicos, ele tem toda a razão, cara. Porque, poderia, por exemplo, a gente tem alguns exemplos, inclusive de CDs piratas, por exemplo, né? Que a gente vê que a impressão falta aquela qualidade, né? Então, assim, o designer gráfico ele é responsável por entender qual é a qualidade que ele tem que colocar em termos técnicos, né? 300 dpi, umas paradas lá mais técnicas, para que esse material seja impresso de forma correta, que ele não borre, não tenha aquele blur, né, nele, assim. Então é super importante a gente, como selo, ou mesmo como proprietário, vai imprimir um livro, né, vai imprimir um livro, vai imprimir uma camiseta, é super importante estar atento a esses detalhes técnicos. E nada melhor que ter um designer gráfico que tenha esse know-how para fazer isso, né? Desde pensar o projeto gráfico como um todo, porque não é só colocar as imagens, tem que pensar todo o conceito do disco, né? Esse trabalho de capa aqui, por exemplo, ele veio de uma foto tirada deste show, né? Então ele fez um trabalho em cima disso aqui. Atrás também, né? Eu nem mostrei para vocês, que ficou lindíssimo, hein? O cara, ele tem que realmente pensar o projeto como um todo. Não é só colocar as imagens e deu, né? Não é só se preocupar que se está em 300 dpi lá, que é a qualidade específica para imprimir coisas, né? E sim ter todo o conceito do álbum. Então, assim, quando o cara fala em gastar uma grana para isso, é super importante, né? Assim, e não é gastar, né? É um investimento. Para esse material chegar nesse nível de qualidade, eu preciso de um profissional que esteja gabaritado para chegar a isso.
$500 in the past. I licensed somebody's artwork for $250. That was like 10 years ago. So...
Tem licença também, que licença de foto, né? As fotos aqui desse show também foi pago o fotógrafo do show da época, né? Para ele receber. Então tem a licença de imagem.
That was like a super good bargain. I've seen people do custom artwork for $1,000 or $2,000. So that's like what you can kind of expect to spend. If a designer does that, plus maybe a few extra hours to help you lay out the vinyl package, like the sleeve and the back cover and the spine or the CD, or if you're just...
Isso, tem a lombada também, né, cara? A espinha, né? Aqui. Vai dar pra ver, ó. Peraí, vou botar aqui. Aí, ó. Então tem todo um trabalho gráfico, cara, que é necessário, é necessário. E o que ele tá falando é exatamente o que eu falei, né, cara? É o projeto gráfico, né? Não é simplesmente jogar imagens. Tem que pensar tudo isso, né? Tá cansado de estar mergulhado no digital, nos feeds, né, de Instagram, TikTok, coisas do gênero, cara? Saca essa proposta que eu tenho para te fazer, cara. Entre no Rock Book Club, uma parceria entre o canal aqui Desconecta e também o canal da Nômade Cósmica, capitaneado pela Ana, né, cara? Todos os meses a gente tem um encontro para falar de uma biografia de artistas do rock. Para participar, cara, entra no link aqui abaixo que está pinado nos comentários.
A lot of money if you're just doing digital artwork done digitally. I say it's okay to spend and to invest a lot of money if you're doing physical merch and if that design is going to be transferred to a hoodie or a t-shirt, and if the designer is going to give you the layered files. And what I mean by that is the Photoshop document where you can pull out the text or you can take parts of the album cover and put it on a t-shirt. But I don't think it's okay to spend a lot of money if you're just doing digital. And by digital, I mean, it's just a single, you know what I mean? And it's just going up on Spotify or it's just going up on Bandcamp. To me, that's kind of a waste of money because if you're going to spend $1,000 or $2,000 on having a great cover design for a single, well, unless you can guarantee that your single is going to make back at least $2,000, and that means, I think that's about...
Por single digital, que eu tava falando antes, né, cara? Pra single digital render $1.000, cara, tem que tocar muito no Spotify, muito. A gente tem um vídeo aqui que eu larguei ontem ou hoje aqui no canal falando sobre isso. Hoje, Cara, apenas 11 mil artistas no mundo, se não me engano é esse o dado, recebem $8.000, né? Então imagina a quantidade de plays que tem que ter. Então tu vai fazer um puta gasto no digital, sendo que tu sabe que não vai retornar isso, né? Principalmente países como o nosso aí, né? De Brasil, né? Que paga menos ainda, né?
200,000 streams. And remember, that doesn't even include paying for mastering, paying for mixing, and paying for the artist to write and record the song. So any of those other expenses you have. So if you feel like I can easily get 250,000 streams on Spotify to pay for a $2,000 designer to make a great album cover, then that's totally worth it for you. So what I'm saying is, let's move on. But what I'm saying is don't spend too much money if you're just doing a digital single or even a digital EP, but you can invest money if you're doing physical. Okay, number 2 is not hiring a graphic designer. This is a mistake I see because I think you should hire a graphic designer, especially if you are doing physical merchandise, if you're doing physical products, if you're doing vinyl. A lot of people think, oh cool, I designed this album cover in Canva and now I want to make a vinyl record. Well, a vinyl record is very complex. Here's a copy of my record that I did a couple years ago. And so you have cover, you have spine, you have back cover. This all needs to be designed. And then if you're going to do, this is called a sleeve. So then there's a sleeve that needs to be designed. And then there's the labels, 2 labels on either side. So that's one of the reasons why
muitos têm um booklet, como é o nosso caso, né?
You need to hire a graphic designer because you think, oh, I've got this album cover, but there's actually so many more components that need to be designed. If you're doing cassette, you have to think about the label.
São projetos diferentes, CD, cassete, camiseta, são formatos, plataformas diferentes e tu precisa fazer esse investimento, cara. Então é importante sim contratar, né, um designer gráfico, né?
Label or the pad stamp on the tape itself, as well as the J card if you're doing a J card. So there's a lot of complicated things. So hire a graphic designer if you're going to be doing merch and if you're going to be doing physical products. Mistake number 3 I see is not thinking about the whole album campaign. And so sometimes people will design a great album cover and then they'll be like, oh yeah, we're releasing 2 singles ahead of time. And those singles need individual artwork as well. And so then people kind of forget about that. And then the single covers are an afterthought. Or they're like, oh yeah, we should do t-shirts. And then the t-shirt is an afterthought and doesn't match the album cover. So I've done a whole workshop about this and you can watch that at otherrecordlabels.com/artwork. So I won't go into it too much today, but I think it's really important that your pre-release singles, that your tour posters, that your t-shirts, that your stickers, your social media banners, that everything matches the visual vibe of your album cover.
Então, cara, é isso que tu tem que pensar quando a gente vai fazer um lançamento aí olhando de uma forma holística, assim, né? Essas coisas elas têm que se conversar, é que nem uma campanha de marketing, né? Ela vai se conversar tudo, vai conversar a capa com os singles, a capa do disco, né, do álbum especificamente, com os singles, com, sei lá, o moletom que tu vai fazer, com a parte de divulgação toda, né, os cards para as redes sociais, vai fazer um clipe também, o ideal é que essas coisas se conversem todo, para passar o conceito que tu quer, tu como artista, músico, né, como banda, quer entregar no final pro teu, que é o cliente, né, cara, pro teu fã, né, então tudo isso se conversa. Pega um lançamento Metallica pra te ver, né, o 72 Seasons, cara. Olha como ele foi bem construído, né? A música conversa com a arte, com toda a parte visual, seja nos lançamentos dos singles, seja nos lançamentos dos clipes, nas turnês, né? Pô, tem toda aquela aplicação que tu vai fazer no palco, né? A aplicação que eu digo, toda a parte gráfica que tu aplica no palco. Então tudo isso se conversa, né?
So many people forget about that or don't think about that. And so even before you start to release anything, print off your single covers, print off your album cover, print off the t-shirt design that you have in mind, anything else, social media graphics and web banners, and paste them up on the wall and say, do they look good together? At the very least, just throw them all up on a PowerPoint or in Pinterest and say, does it all look good together? Do the colors match? That type of visual consistency is what branding is all about and is what will help your release go a long way. Mistake number 4 is not knowing the difference between CMYK and RGB. So CMYK means, and this relates to the print world, it's 4 colors, cyan, magenta, yellow, and K, which stands for black. And then RGB is digital, which stands for red, green, blue. And so basically the difference is, in the print world, colors are made up of the mixture of those 4 colors that I previously mentioned, whereas in the digital world, colors are made up of LED lights. So not only do the colors look different, but the digital colors are actually way more vibrant. You can get things like neon and super rich blues and reds that you can't reproduce as well in the print world. And so people will design a digital album cover, which is normal to go on Spotify or Bandcamp, and then they'll take that file and try to transfer it to the physical world, even on posters or t-shirts or vinyl. And what ends up happening is that the color looks dull and muted, and a lot of people are disappointed and they get upset with their pressing plant. But the reason is that it has to be converted from RGB to CMYK, and then you lose that electric feel. Now you can pay extra money, a lot of extra money, to use Pantone colors, and those colors are a little bit more vibrant. But most people aren't paying that extra money, and it's a lot more complicated to do. So just keep that in mind when you're designing something and you're using like really electric colors. I'll show you, go back to my artwork as an example. So even though I've been doing this for many, many years, I still forgot. And so I designed this album cover that I really liked. I'll show it to you right now. And that's the digital version, really electric. But then I had to go and print it, and it looked really muted. Like that green was like more mustardy, and the blue wasn't as vibrant as I wanted it to be. And so I had to kind of adapt for that, and I just forgot about that. And so that's a mistake a lot of people don't make. A lot of people make is they don't really consider the difference between CMYK and RGB. Number 5 mistake is not utilizing layered files. I've already explained what layered files are, but basically when you open a Photoshop document, here's a great record from the record label Geographic North. And so if you were to look at this graphic design here in Photoshop, the layers would be this photograph, this text here, this red background would be a layer, this text here would be another layer, the record label logo would be another layer, and there might even be some like grain or effect that's put on top of the photo as another layer. So that's what we mean by layered files. So when you open this document in Photoshop, on the right-hand side, under layers, you'll see all of these different layers here, and you can turn them off and on. So the reason you want to have access to these layered files, and not just access to the layered files, but to actually utilize the layered files, is by opening this file up, taking this cool black text right here and putting it on a t-shirt. So let's say you were to get a red t-shirt to kind of match this red here, and then just put this black text across the front. So you can do that, and that's called utilizing your layered files. And so if you pay for a graphic designer to design you something like this, make sure it's in the agreement that you own the rights to the artwork. If they're cool with that, you might have to pay extra, and they give you the layered files so that you can do stuff like this. You could take this photo and make a web banner out of it.
Tu pode separar, tu pode utilizar tu pode utilizar essas camadas separadamente para fazer outros materiais gráficos desse disco, por exemplo. Que ele estava explicando ali a questão, pega aquele lettering ali, aquela escrita em cima, pode aplicar numa camiseta sem utilizar, por exemplo, aquela foto. Então tudo é em camadas, então é importante. Quando tu vai fazer uma capa, deixa claro que tu tem o direito sobre todo o projeto como um todo, assim, né? Todas as camadas.
Kind of stuff. So utilize the layered files. Another mistake I see people make is not taking the opportunity to do unique album covers for different formats. What do I mean by this? Well, of course, you're going to have your square album cover that you use on Spotify. But then if you're going to make a cassette tape, cassette covers are vertical. And so a lot of people will just kind of like warp their cover to try to fit it on there, or they'll put it a square on the front. It's just kind of weird. But if you're paying a designer, or if you have access to Photoshop and you're good with Photoshop, then I would suggest create something completely unique for the cassette or vinyl. And so go back to my example. So I have a digital cover that's a little bit different. Then I have my vinyl cover, and then I did a cassette cover and they're all completely different. They look kind of similar, but the shapes are moved around. Going back to this like cohesive like branding thing, everything still kind of matches and looks like it belongs, but there's like a little bit of a uniqueness. So your cassette tape looks just a little bit different layout to your vinyl or to your digital. I think that's really cool, and I don't see many people doing that. Problem number 7 is asking people, like regular people, if they like this album cover. So artists do this all the time. They get
Perguntar para pessoas normais sobre as opiniões, né, do disco, né, do trabalho gráfico, né, cara. Puta, é a mesma coisa que perguntar o que tu acha da minha música, né? Manda tua mãe avaliar a tua música, né, quando tu é músico, né? É a mesma coisa, né, cara? As pessoas comuns, elas não têm esse olhar treinado, trabalhado para fazer uma boa capa, né? Trazer elementos para que aquela capa seja realmente impactante, né?
They get self-conscious about the album cover that they're about to pick, and so they'll send it to their friends and their family members and their mom and their coworkers and other artists. And I hate this process so much because I don't think, this is just my opinion, I don't think that the general public should be speaking into design. First of all, we don't even know if they're creatives, but I just don't think that, I think the problem is that when you give people the chance to criticize, they'll feel obligated to criticize. So if you send somebody an album cover for feedback, I feel like they'll feel stupid if they just say, oh yeah, it looks cool, or you'll think that they don't care, and so they actually try to make up some sort of criticism. I just find it to be a complete waste, and like me and the artists, we're the artists here. This is our project, the label and the artist and the graphic designer. And so to me, I don't like involving the public. We're gonna pick something, and then when you go through a record store, either you like the artwork or you don't. You don't get a chance to speak into the design. So don't poll people. I just think that's overthinking things. Mistake number 8 is album covers with bad resolution. So for a lot of you out there, you're making album covers that are just going on Spotify or Bandcamp. Make sure, and I think a lot of digital distributors require at least 3,000 pixels by 3,000 pixels. So that's really big. In fact, there's no harm in doing like 4 or 5 or 6,000 pixels. Tell your graphic designer to do that. If you're going to make something in Canva, or if you're just going to use something off of your phone, just make sure it's super high resolution. And it usually doesn't matter if people are looking at Spotify on their phone or Bandcamp on their computer. It's usually pretty small. But in some cases, the reason why we actually upload really big pixel sizes is because some people listen to music on YouTube, or they listen to Spotify on their smart TV, or they listen to Amazon Music or Apple Music on their smart TV or on their Apple TV in their living rooms, and sometimes it projects the artwork really big. And so that's a time where you want your artwork to look really, really sharp. Number 9 is failing to create a visual aesthetic for your whole record label. So this tip is a little bit more relevant to record labels only, unless an artist has like a consistent visual aesthetic that's attached to their own name. But you know, like Blue Note, all the album covers have like a distinct feel. I love when record labels do that, when they have something, even if it's just their logo, like in the top right corner of the album covers. I love that a lot. I think a record label should have some sort of like common visual thread throughout all of their album covers. I've seen record labels do it with Obi strips. That's like the paper strip along the spine. Mm-hmm. I've seen people do it with marketing stickers. Like I mentioned, I've seen record labels who will put a logo in the same corner. Some record labels actually just have like a consistent template. Here's one of my favorite labels, 12K. 12K has great artwork, and they do this, I don't know if they're still doing it, but it's this white frame, mm-hmm. and the artist name and the album name is usually done in the same font even, and it's just matching this, all of their album covers match this format.
Tá falando de manter a consistência, né? Manter a consistência visual para aquilo que a gente estava falando da comunicação, né? Ali antes, né? Ele mantém a consistência visual para comunicar algo, né? Serve. E aqui ele está dando exemplo dos selos e das gravadoras, né? Qual é a consistência visual que tem? Qual é o fio condutor que tem em todas as artes gráficas daquele selo? Pode ser um logo, como ele falou, no canto superior, no canto, né? Pode ser os discos, as capas terem um estilo próprio do selo, né? Que mantém uma consistência de consistência visual, uma comunicação visual consistente.
I personally love it, and I think it's like a calling card. I think that when people see a record like that in the wild, they know it's from 12K Records. I think that's a really cool thing. So if you're a record label, I would consider doing that. I know it's hard to do because you got to pick a design or a template that you ideally stick with forever. But when it's done right, like that 12K example or like Blue Note, it's really cool. Finally, number 10 is a lot of record labels fail to respect the artist's vision for their album covers. And I'm guilty of this. I've had people bring me art that is really intimate and personal to them, like from a family member or a close friend. It hasn't resonated with me, or it wasn't what I was viewing for the album, and I was involved in creating the record. And so I've kind of butted heads with artists a lot, and sometimes I butt heads with artists who don't care about the album covers and what it looks like, where I care a lot. And so even though I think it's really important for record labels to have a consistent visual aesthetic, at the same time, I do think it's most important that you respect the artist's vision, because it's their name that's going on the album cover. This is the hardest thing for me to say because I can't really do it. I just think that I know what's best, and that's like my flaw. Album covers are really, really important to me, and I don't know if the artists are always thinking about album covers as much as I am. And so I'm always trying to communicate to them how important a great album cover is and how much impact it can have when people are deciding whether or not to even listen to your music. For this reason, that's why I really try to establish, or if I were to start a record label again, I would establish a very strict template, like that 12K example I just showed you, or even like Blue Note, where this is the format, and then the artist can be creative within my format. Like this 12K example, this artwork here is important to the artist, and it's something that they picked, but it's fitting within the frame that the label has established. So ultimately, I think it's important to respect your artist's vision for their album covers, but I get it, it's hard to do. Those are the 10 things. I hope you found them helpful. For all of my resources for record labels and independent artists on the topic of artwork.
Vai lá, acessa o canal do cara, Other Records Labels. É muito bom, cara, essa aula aí de design, né? E o design não como o desenho em si, né? Mas como projetar, né? Como transformar ideias abstratas que são desenhos em uma comunicação visual consistente. Isso serve não só para bandas, mas também para selos, como ele trouxe vários exemplos, né? E deu algumas dicas aí, né? Principalmente para artistas, né, cara? Porra, não vai gastar muita coisa com o digital aí, sendo que na teoria não tem a necessidade, né? Principalmente por custo, vai gastar $1.000, né? No caso que ele trouxe ali, num single, para fazer uma capa do single, cara, meio desnecessário, assim, né? Até porque como é que tu vai reverter esse valor depois, né? Com um single, né? Então é importante estar alinhado todos esses pontos, né? Bela aula aí de designer para capas, né? Quem gosta muito dessa área aí deve ter curtido bastante este vídeo, né?
Fala aí, Disconnectors, esse aqui é um corte da live Desconecta com um patrocínio da Vlut. É o novo clube de disco de vinil feito para você. Acesse velut.com.br, faça seu perfil e escolha seu plano. Todo mês receba um disco surpresa novo e lacrado com gift exclusivo, caixa personalizada e frete grátis. Vlut, um clube realmente seu.